President, I want to talk a little bit today about Social Security, and specifically the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset. Now, I know that sounds real technical, but basically, here's the problem. We have a lot of Americans who have paid into Social Security, and they're now getting screwed by Social Security. They're not getting their money back. Now, all of us, Mr. President, want to do everything we can to maintain the stability and sanctity of the Social Security system. And I think all of us believe that we all ought to get the Social Security payments that we're entitled to. And that is all this issue is about. Let me explain, Mr. President. For many middle-class Americans, receiving Social Security at retirement is sort of like a welcoming light at the end of a tunnel. They've worked hard, they've retired, and now they're entitled to some of the money back that they paid into the Social Security system. I'm talking, of course, Mr. President, about the hardworking women and the hardworking men who've seen a chunk of their monthly earnings go into the Social Security system throughout their entire careers, 10, 15, 20, sometimes 30 and 40 years. These same Americans haven't seen a pay raise or an increase in their median household income for a long time. The median household income in America today, as you know, Mr. President, is pretty much the same it was in 1999. I guess what I'm talking about, Mr. President, is ordinary people. You can call it the middle class if you'd like, or working families. They were the ones that were hit hardest by the Great Recession of 2008. They have been struggling throughout their lives to participate in the great wealth of this nation. And they're entitled to participate in the great wealth of this nation. And they shouldn't have to keep on struggling to get money for retirement from the Social Security system when they've already paid into the Social Security system. The principle behind Social Security is pretty simple. Throughout your working life, you pay some money and your employer pays some money. And when you're done working, when you retire, according to a formula, you get some of your money back through a Social Security check. So it's simple in theory. You put money in, and when you hit retirement age, you get some of it back. Except for 1.7 million Americans, Mr. President, that's not the case. That's not how the system works for them. That includes about 38,000 hardworking folks in my home state of Louisiana. But there are a lot more in other states as well. I'm talking about millions of teachers, police officers, firefighters, and a lot of other folks who earn modest pensions in service to their communities, and they face little or no access to Social Security. But here's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a teacher who paid into the Social Security system. I'm talking about a teacher or a firefighter or a policeman who paid into their own retirement system. So they're rocking along. They're paying into basically two retirement systems, Social Security and the private retirement system, and they're doing the right thing, getting up every day, going to work, obeying the law, trying to save money from retirement, deferred gratification. They're ready to retire, and because they were prudent enough to invest in a private retirement system, they don't get their Social Security check, even though they've already paid into it. Additionally, a worker can pass away before reaching retirement age, not even knowing that their spouse and children won't have full access to their Social Security survivor benefits. And that's just not right, Mr. President. It's just not right. Until 2005, there wasn't even a legal requirement for human resources to notify workers that switching careers would affect their eligibility for Social Security or Social Security survivors' benefits. Many of these 1.7 million Americans that are getting screwed, they tried to do the right thing. They paid into to a private retirement system and they paid into Social Security, only to find out later they can get their money from the private retirement system, but they can't get their money from Social Security. They're being punished for being prudent. Many of them retire with no idea that that's the law. And by then, of course, it's too late. In June of this year, Mr. President, 1 in 6 Americans collected Social Security benefits. And I'm happy for every one of them, because to collect, they had to pay in. That's about 61 million Americans. By 2031, when the last of the baby boomers hit retirement age, that number is going to increase, Mr. President, to about 75 million Americans. Now, these are going to be our seniors. They are our seniors, and they're our seniors to be. They're battling against the rising costs of housing, health care, automobiles, taxes, fees. Many of them have had their private retirement accounts or home values wrecked by the Great Recession. But yet, these Americans press on. When we talk about tax reform, Mr. President, we're going to be talking a lot about tax reform here over the next few weeks. We need to make clear that we're talking about reforms that will help these middle-class Americans, the people who get up every day and go to work and obey the law, try to do the right thing by their kids, teach their kids morals, and try to save a little money for retirement. Let me be blunt. I would like to eliminate the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset provision in the Social Security laws. I think it would be a vital step in ensuring that our middle-class seniors can enjoy continued economic security after their retirement. And not only would it help the economy, Mr. President, it is the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do. Mr. President, I want to sum up. We can provide economic relief immediately to some of those middle-class retirees that I've been talking about by eliminating the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset provisions of the Social Security system. It won't cost much money, have a small effect on the cost of Social Security, about 0.13%, not 13%, 0.13%, about 1/10, a little over 1/10 of 1%. And after taking care of this simple fix, which is more than about money, it's about fairness, we can turn our eyes to out-of-control Washington spending to ensure that Social Security remains a reliable source of retirement income for Americans in the long term. Thank you, Mr. President, and with that, I suggest the absence of a quorum.